Right on, right on, right on. This is David, your host with the most, better known as DATAP, or if you're in business, Real Time On Demand, or RTOD. Right on, right on, and welcome to another terrific Tuesday. Overcoming obstacles, or should we say overcoming your obstacles. But anyway, right on, right on, right on. So we're happy. Hello, and welcome to our stream, our podcast, or whatever you want to call it. So, anyway, we just wanted to talk about overcoming obstacles and being better than you were yesterday. So, a lot of times we were encountering obstacles. Like I had a big obstacle the last couple of days, and that obstacle was just simply it was simply that I just needed to stop, slow down, rethink, readjust, and then keep on going. Make my serious thing just. So it's not a hard thing to do, but sometimes you could be in the middle of a loop, and that loop is not a cycle that's conducive to you. So today, on this terrific Tuesday, we want to tell you to take a look at our pictures. All right, we got two fantasy pictures. We got one way that I live, and we got other way that where my mind is at. This is where I'm at today. As you can see, the rocks in the water, in the ocean, and the clouds, and a mystic castle in the back. I'm living in that mystic castle, looking at everything and enjoying the scenery and keep my head level and keeping myself real relaxed and positive, so that way I can just keep moving forward. So if you're having problems today and you've got obstacles, they're only obstacles if you allow them to be obstacles. Okay? You got the second picture here where we have the car with the AI, with the robot, and the hypercars around them, and the big French provincial mansion behind that. So we know what it is. So if you're a pronoun, just understand. Put your pronoun in there and keep rolling. That's our disclaimer for the day. Anyway, we just want you to be happy today. And so the obstacles, so one of the ways to cope with obstacles is to understand why they're an obstacle. Is it you? Is it them? Is it the situation? Or are you making a bigger deal than what it is? So that obstacle is not for the it's not for the person that is or isn't. It's not for the person that doesn't believe in themselves. That's why it's an obstacle, because you're losing your temporary belief. And that temporary belief is what makes you move faster and make you grow faster and make you be better. And the thing about it is that sometimes obstacles are put there for you to have a lesson. So whether they come from wherever source they come from, just understand what they are. They're just learning. They're learning objects, learning tools. There's tools to get you to look in a different direction. So for me personally, this morning I had to look in a different direction this whole week. And so as I looked in a different direction, I understood what it meant to me to be better. And I understood what it meant to be going through something that I was actually putting myself through. So the obstacles, as far as I was concerned, it was just an obstacle that did not compute with me. It was like going from step 1 to 2 and then skipping over 3 and going to 4. So 1, 2, 4, then 3. So that was the whole thing about it. And so what I decided to do was, you know what kind of obstacle is this? Is this an obstacle I made up in my mind? Is it an obstacle that's forced upon me? Is it an obstacle just to get on my nerves? So it was a combination of all three. And the reason why it was a combination of all three, because I went through the layers of it. Sometimes obstacles have layers. And these particular obstacles for me at this time, today, had layers. So how I overcame them was to bundle all the layers together and say that's a combination thereof. And so I realized that I need to go ahead and move forward accordingly. So as I moved forward accordingly, the solution was always in front of my mind. And then it ended up being solutions with an S, because that one solution took me over the top, and then the win, I wanted to stay away from that obstacle, never see it. I had to have solutions. So that was just the way it is. Oh, okay. So total underscore against one say good afternoon to everyone, and those are great analysis and sounds familiar. Oh yeah, everybody goes through this. So it don't even matter who you are and what you are. You're gonna have some kind of obstacle. That's part of living. And sometimes the obstacles are your own obstacles that you put in front of yourself. Sometimes those obstacles are different obstacles that are just around you, and sometimes those obstacles come from somewhere else, and they're just meant for you to learn those lessons. That's why I put my picture up today, as far as just showing you this is how I live, and this is how I'm feeling today. So there you have it. And there you have the rocks, the water, and the castle. So I'm living in the castle. So that castle is just floating around everywhere. And so it's picking up and receiving and conjugating wherever it needs to be. So that's where I'm living. So the obstacle for me in the castle was I had to come down to earth. And so as I came down to earth and realized what I needed to fix, I hopped in the water, I swam around, I got up on shore, you know what I mean? I kind of enjoyed, smelled the coffee and enjoyed myself, and then I got right back in it and got right back on it. And so that was the obstacle. So the obstacles that you have, sometimes they're made by yourself. And so that castle can be construed as living in a glass house or living in obstacles that you put borders around yourself. So it just depends on how you look. So are you within the castle? Are you living within the borders? Or are you using that castle to go everywhere to experience new things in life? And that's what obstacles do. They're either going to help you or they're going to hurt you. There's never any in between because the in between doesn't exist. That's why it's an obstacle because it appears to be an absolute when in actuality it's not an absolute. So those of you that are spiritually inclined, you understand what I'm saying. Those of you that are just want to stay on this plane of living, you understand what I'm saying. And those of you that don't understand, just know that the metaphor is this. When you overcome an obstacle, is the obstacle made by you? Is it made by someone else? And is it put in front of you as an obstacle? And good and bad comes from one origin. So you got to understand that once you realize that it comes from one origin, you realize that there has to be a solution to the obstacle or obstacles. And that's what it is. So you got to fight yourself to move through and to be better with that. And so we just always say right on to the victors. And right on can mean a million things to you, but to me it just means that I'm moving forward or that it's a good thing or that it's not to be construed as a negative. So that's why we always say that. So anyways, we just want you to know that obstacles are not always proven to be effective against you. They're only proven to be effective against you if you allow them to be. So what you realize is no matter what you do and how you do it, you just keep moving forward. And that's all that counts is that you're moving forward. And so we just say move through it and do what you do. And so that's how we do it. And that's what we do. So there that is, and that's what that is. So anyways, we want you to know to be better, and we want you to be okay, and we want you to do the best that you can do and to be the person that you need to be. And so being the person that you need to be, you got to overcome all the obstacles. And so some of them you'll acknowledge them, and then you'll start moving forward. Sometimes you don't see the obstacles, you're stuck in a loop, and that loop keeps revolving around that obstacle. So, and that obstacle or obstacles is just there for you to understand the loop so you can go to the next level in life or the next level in your project or the next level in yourself. And that's all you want. That's what you want. So we understand that. And so it ceases becoming an obstacle and becomes a work in progress. When it's an obstacle, it doesn't mean that you stop doing what you're doing. It's just sometimes you slow down to go back and say, okay, I need to be doing it this way. Let me overcome it this way. So there's only just do. There's only do. And then there's don't. And then there's won't and cannot. So we keep those that cannot, we keep that out of the vocabulary as much as possible. And then the won't and don't, we keep those out of the lexicon as much as possible. So we stick with the do. We try to stay in the do or doing. So depending on your tense, or I did, past tense. So that's what I'm saying. So we keep it in the doing because now we're just moving forward. We're taking one little step at a time, one step at a time, and we keep rising and rising and rising and rising and rising and rising up. And so that's what everybody has to understand is that as we move forward, we don't allow it to stop us, and we don't allow it to not be, and we don't allow it for us to not be the human being that we need to be, quote unquote. And that's the part of it that makes sense. So you notice we keep it calm, cool, and collected always and always and always and more. The reason being is because it just makes sense to do that. No sense in getting all tangled up into something that it's not good. Okay, Total Square Against One says, I felt like I was stuck in a loop And then they also say, so I stopped until the next day to get a better perspective on the situation. We're going to give you a right on for that. And the reason why we're going to give you a right on and two thumbs up and a clap, clap and a right on is because that's understanding that you move through that loop and you understand what the loop was about and you understood it and then you came into understanding it and then you move forward. So we're conjugating some adverbs, nouns, and pronouns here. So don't, whatever it is, just figure it out. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Anyways, let's just keep going. So, oh yeah, thanks and thank you for giving us that synopsis of what you were going through, because that makes you be better and it helps us to be better because we can see what others are going through and then we can apply our principles and then they can apply their principles and then whatever we learn from each other makes us have a reciprocal relationship, even though I'm talking on the podcast. And so we're reciprocation, which means that now you have a positive conversation where you're actually engaging and talking about what it is and what it ain't. And so as you talk about that, you're providing solutions to each other. And see, and that makes sense. And that's how the world is supposed to work. So when you have peace accords and different things like we have going on in the government these last few days with this Ukraine war and Russia and Ukraine, so hopefully they're having interactivity and they're having reciprocation, which is hard to do when people are killing each other. But if they can get that, then hopefully that war can stop and people can get back to their lives. And that's all over the world. That's all over in your hood and where you live and your city. We need more reciprocation. So that's why these obstacles are put here for us to either learn together singularly or a combo thereof. And that's the part that we have to understand. And once we understand that, we understand what it is and what it isn't. And so one of the things about being greater is that you can always move forward accordingly. And as you move forward accordingly, you can be the better person. And so we understand that. And that's always our mission here. So as you notice, we're starting to change our format of what we do. So we still got some tech issues we got to work through, but we're working through them and we will get them out soon. So it's very important that you just stick with us and keep joining us. So we'll have different things for you in different platforms. So we're still dealing with the same tech problem. We keep changing it and getting it corrected, and it keeps coming back. And it's just now I got to make some phone calls and different things. So it's another obstacle, but it's actually becoming a work in progress because now the company that's blocking our computer now has to answer for it. So they're going to answer for it either legally, professionally, or it's going to be more calls and emails for the paper trail, and that's how it's going to go. And then it's going to be a combination thereof. So it becomes a monetized environment based on a simple, ignorant situation. And the situation is ignorant because they're supposed to keep up with the latest and greatest tech, and they're not doing it. So we won't name the company, but we'll say here, this is what's in store for them. And the reason why I'm talking about it and the reason why it goes into our lexicon as being a positive is because we're getting to the point now where we're getting so big that we understand that we can deal with them on our level. And our level is this: we're above you, and this is how it is, and this is what we're going to do. So you're going to have to pay out. And that's how we look at it. And the reason why is because their obstacle that they put in front of us is a tech problem that can easily be solved. And so we're solving it every time we go up and operate. So it is what it is, and it does what it does, and that's how it is. So we understand. So anyway, we want to thank you guys for being here with us today, and we want to thank you for being great. And as always, our sponsors, appai.site, where they make AI easy. Go check them out. And these are where these pictures came from. At least one of them did. And AIDaddy.guru, where your app, your vision, in an instant. So that's how it goes. So anyways, we want to thank you once again. And what I wish for others, I wish for myself. And what I wish for myself, I wish for others, that their dreams and ideas become their lifestyle. And so keep it positive, keep it right, keep it good, keep it on tonight. And so we're going to leave you with that and have a blessed, terrific Tuesday. So do you, be you, and understand we're going to keep it positive all the way. So right on. Thanks to everyone that participated today. Thanks. Have a great day and be yourself. And this is your host with the most, signing off.